Jai Sitaram. Thousands of little vanaras sat in groups on the beach facing the southern seas. Angada and the monkeys surrounding him told stories about Rama. Sampati, the old vulture, had just informed them of sighting Mata Sita in Ravana's Lanka. And the Vanara army had finally zeroed in on Hanuman, who was the only one among them who could traverse such a large distance to Lanka and back. Jambavan, the old bear, had informed them, had just reminded Hanuman of his powers. A smile crossed Hanuman's face as he realized for the first time what he could do. "I'll do it," he said. Suddenly, Hanuman began to grow. He grew to the size of the mountains and then he grew larger. When he stopped, he stepped with a gigantic leg onto one of the mountains behind the beach. He was so huge that he had to put his other foot on the peak beside the first. Hanuman then began moving back and forth, preparing for his long jump across the ocean to save Mata Sita. Hanuman then took the time to pray to his father, the wind god, and the other gods. He thought about Rama and Lakshmana and how much they relied on him to succeed. With that, Hanuman stood still and concentrated, trying to forget all doubt. He let out a loud roar. All the Vanaras began to cheer. Hanuman leapt into the air with such a great force that the flowering trees were ripped from the ground, leaving a trail of colorful flowers behind him. The Devas gathered to watch the monkey's great leap. A mountain named Mainaka rose from beneath the ocean, saying, "Come, Hanuman, use me and rest a while upon me. Then you can fly to Lanka from my summit." But Hanuman gratefully replied, "Thank you for your kindness, O Mainaka, but time is short and I have none to rest." One of the Devas of light, named Surasa, turned herself into a Rakshasi and blocked Hanuman's path, saying, "Nobody can pass me without going through my mouth." A quick thinking Hanuman replied, "But your mouth is too small for me to enter. Open it wider so I may fit in." Surasa opened her mouth as wide as she could. Hanuman instantly shrunk in size until he was no bigger than this thumb and quickly flew in and out of Surasa's mouth without even her noticing. Surasa was amused by the monkey and said, "Pass in peace, Hanuman. May your journey be fruitful. May all your missions succeed." It wasn't long before a Rakshasi named Simhika tried to obstruct his progress. By now Hanuman had lost all his patience. He quickly overpowered her and continued on his journey. Soon he reached the island of Lanka, which was so beautiful, covered with shrubs and flora, with streams and waterfalls. Seeing the deep moat surrounding the city and only a single bridge acting as a crossing guarded by Rakshasas, Hanuman decided to enter the city at night. As he approached, Lankini, the spirit and guardian of Lanka, challenged him. With one mighty blow, Hanuman defeated Lankini and she left the gates of Lanka forever. Hanuman began to search in Ravana's palace for Mata Sita. He spotted many beautiful Rakshasis, but he knew in his heart that none of them was Sita. He had searched hundreds of rooms and still found no trace of Sita anywhere. Feeling dejected, Hanuman thought he had failed Rama. He left the palace and climbed on a treetop and suddenly noticed a green. He made his way into this Ashokavana. Inside this beautiful garden, under an Ashoka tree, was a woman, her face stained with tears, surrounded by Rakshasis. There was no doubt in his mind that this was Mata Sita. Unfortunately, morning was near and Hanuman decided to hide in a nearby tree to prevent any of the Rakshasis from seeing him. Meanwhile, Ravana woke up and wanted to see Sita. From the treetop, Hanuman witnessed Sita trying to cover herself with her hands to avoid Ravana's gaze. After many pleas from Ravana, Sita finally replied, "I am the wife of another man and my husband is my life. How can you even think of me as yours? I have always belonged to Rama and I always will." Angered, Ravana threatened Sita with death and left. One of the Rakshasis named Trijata stayed behind and told her of the dream she had about Rama and Lakshmana defeating Ravana and reuniting with Sita. She also told her about the monkey she had dreamt about, who set Lanka on fire with his tail. Hanuman knew she had to talk to Sita, but he was afraid that she would mistake him for a Rakshasa. Hanuman thought very hard, but still found no answers. Hanuman then began to pray to Lord Ram. Ram, 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 Ram. Shuddha Brahma Parat Pararam Kalatmaka Parameshwara Ram Sheshatalpa Sukha Nidritaram Brahmadyamara Prarthitaram Chandagirana Kula Mandanaram Srimad Dasharatha Nandanaram Rama Rama Jaya Raja Ram Rama Rama Jaya Sita Ram. Like the Nama Ramayana, Hanuman quickly related the story of Lord Rama and explained that only one monkey could make the leap to Lanka. Finally, he said that he was a monkey. Hanuman climbed down from the treetop and prostrated himself at her feet. He talked about his journey before giving Sita Rama's ring. Rama will be here sooner than you think. But if you like, I can take you out of here today itself upon my back. But Sita replied, Dear Hanuman, I am Rama's wife and it isn't proper of me to cling onto your back as we cross the ocean. Hanuman understood and decided to leave Lanka alone. Sita then took out her chudamani, the hair ornament that she wore in her hair, and said, Give this to Rama. He knows it well. Everything depends on you, Hanuman. My life is in your hands. Hanuman bowed down at her feet before gently taking the chudamani from her hands. As he was leaving Lanka, he decided to create havoc by uprooting trees and destroying Ravana's property. When Ravana heard of this, he sent his son, Akshay Kumar, and hundreds of guards to capture him. Hanuman killed Akshay Kumar and Ravana sent his other son, Indrajit, to fight him. This time, Hanuman allowed himself to be captured by Indrajit. The guards tied him up and brought him before Ravana. Ravana ordered the guards to kill him. But Vibhishana, Ravana's brother, said, You cannot kill a messenger, you can only punish him. Ravana finally decided to set Hanuman's tail on fire. News of this reached Mata Sita through the Rakshasis. This brought tears to her eyes. She knew she had to do something, so she began to pray to Agni, the god of fire. If it is true that I have been faithful to Rama, then don't let Hanuman be burnt by your flames. Let your touch upon his tail be as cool as the caress of his father Vayu. Hanuman's tail was wrapped in cloth, dipped in oil and set on fire. Hanuman, however, felt no pain because of Sita's prayer. Instead, the quick-thinking monkey decided to use this fire to his advantage. Hanuman grew in size until he was as tall as the tallest tower in Lanka and ran about frantically, setting buildings on fire. After he had burnt the entire Lanka to ashes, Hanuman decided to return. As he was approaching the beach where Rama, Lakshmana and the Vanara army were waiting, he understood the anxiety in Lord Rama's heart for the news and decided to break it with, Kande Sire, I have seen Mata Sita. Hanuman then gave Rama Sita's chudamani and Rama said with tears in his eyes, Lakshmana, I see her face when I hold this golden chudamani. She weeps for me. With that, he embraced Hanuman and held him close for a long time. Friends, this beautiful Sundarakanda talks more about the adventures and qualities of Hanuman, whom we must all try to emulate in our lives. What can we learn from Hanuman? To name a few: single-mindedness of purpose, self-awareness, qualities of a good messenger, sensitivity and righteousness, courage and valor. Buddhir balam yashodhairyam nirbhayatvam arogatam ajadyam vakpadutvam cha hanumat smaranat bhavet. Jai Sitaram.